Welcome back to your Valley Sports Plugs Roundtable live stream. It is Tuesday, August 19th, 2025. I'm your host, Chris Patrick, and tonight we will address all of the Ketel Marte drama, what's happened in the past, the recent events, his apology, the whole shebang. The Phoenix Suns schedule dropped last Thursday. We're going to have to take a look at that, break it all down, and then wherever the night takes us from there. If you're tuning in live, watching us now, thank you so much. Drop a like in the stream. Drop a like in the stream. Is that what they say? Sure. But yeah, you can leave us a comment if you're tuning in live. Gonna be a part of the conversation. If you're listening back on the playback here on YouTube, that also helps. All of our streams are available for immediate playback here on YouTube, and the audio only is next day on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can follow us at AZ_VSP on Instagram, TikTok, and X. All of our links are in the description below. But fellas, let's go ahead and get into it. First, let me introduce the fellas. We have joining me, of course, my co-host, Mr. Benjamin, and our VSP contributor, Ian. What's going on, guys?
Ian, what's good, man? But Chris, from now on until, let me check, December 22nd, 2025, I need to be addressed as the 2025 Arizona Cardinals season ticket holder, Mr. Benjamin. Gentlemen, I'm ready to get into the drama today. But Ian, how are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing well. I'm also ready to get into some drama and talk some baseball. And we're doing a Sun schedule too, right? Like that'll be fun. Yeah, I'm just happy to be here.
He's happy to be here so he doesn't get fined. Guys, I'm happy to have you here. Mike, I do need you to tell the story though of how you came to be a season ticket holder, because you didn't just go out and buy yourself season tickets.
No, I'm what some might call one of the lucky ones. So if people ever see it, if you're on Twitter or Instagram and you see those free giveaways like this one, the Arizona Cardinals posted on July 28th that no one gives away season tickets. And they, of course, are sponsored up with SeatGeek. And they said, all you got to do is retweet this tweet and you are entered for a chance to win 2025 season tickets. Gentlemen, I just kind of do those things out of who cares. Like it's a simple retweet. I'm not entering all my information. Chances are you're not going to win them, but let's see if they truly are real. And last week, I believe on Wednesday, I got this DM from the Arizona Cardinals official account saying, "Hi, Michael, congrats. You've been selected as a SeatGeek winner to receive a pair of 2025 season tickets for us. Thanks for being a part of the Bird Gang." And they asked for my name and email address. Obviously, people out there, be careful of phishing scams. You always got to be cautious. But this DM came from the Arizona Cardinals official account. So I sent them my name, my information. It was just my email address, so that's easy to do enough. And officially today, I got 9 different emails from SeatGeek asking for me to accept tickets to each one of the games, including this upcoming preseason game on Saturday. And here is the accepted email for the home opener on September 14th. And of course, we recorded the Heat Check podcast, episode number 42, where we did our Arizona Cardinals predictions this past Saturday, which will be coming out on Friday. And I had a nice little conversation with VSP Tallman and Chris Patrick about the validity of something like this, right? How often could you really see something like this happening? I hadn't received the email yet, so I said, I'm going to hold this one close until I get the confirmation. And here it is, gentlemen. Now, the 2025 Arizona Cardinals season ticket holder is officially Mr. Benjamin. Shout out the Arizona Cardinals. Shout out SeatGeek. You guys know we're going to get a whole bunch of content from this entire season of the 2025 Arizona Cardinals, and we have very high hopes. But guys, I am the living proof. If you see those entry things out there on Twitter, social media, do it. Enter it. You might be one of the luckiest ones. I will say this is probably the biggest giveaway I have ever won for sure, because in the grand total, if you think about it, these tickets are probably worth at least $3,000. So, woo, let's go, baby.
We're all happy for you, Mike. All jealous, I'm sure, but happy for you. Mike already said he's going to take me to a game or two. So
yeah, Chris, you'll be there.
We're going to have the lottery. But yeah, I that's a good point, Mike. There's going to be a lot of good content. Maybe a future Hey SeatGeek sponsorship opportunity with Valley Sports Plug. I think we might need to grow the channel a little bit. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk sports as we do on our Tuesday night streams here. This is a roundtable. It's more of a triangle table at the moment, but looking forward to chatting with you guys nonetheless. This Ketel Marte drama, guys. Where do we begin? Do we want to start in the here and now, or do we want to go way back? I guess I'll just kind of set this up and then kind of open up the conversation from there, see how you guys are feeling about it. But basically, if we start from now and work our way back, Ketel Marte has the most recent development is he's apologized through an interpreter for taking time off after the All-Star break, where essentially he, after the All-Star game, flew to the Dominican Republic. And then once he found out that his house in Scottsdale was burglarized, he informed the team that he would be staying in the Dominican Republic for an additional period of time. I believe that period of time was only like a day or so, but he ended up missing the entire St. Louis Cardinals series after that. This is not like the first time Ketel Marte has, I guess it is the first time he's done something like that, but not the first time he's missed time. I guess perhaps this is just the first time it was unexcused. Most notably, he's had a track record of missing time when his team needs him, just asking for days off for various reasons. Typically, I think it's like soreness, being tired, but kind of like inopportune times. But before Ketel Marte apologized, and in between a lot of that stuff happening, Geraldo Perdomo earlier in the week kind of snatched the mic Kanye West style from Torey Lovullo. It wasn't Kanye West style. He did it very respectfully. All reports are that Perdomo was very respectful with it. But basically, he got up there and said, leave Ketel Marte alone. Leave Ketel alone. He just wants to have fun. He just wants to play baseball. Guys, he's just a guy that wants to have fun and play baseball. Leave him alone. And you're all being really mean, and you stop being mean to Ketel Marte. And that was basically the gist of it. And as you could probably tell from my infliction, I was not impressed with that. But I guess, yeah, let's start there and kind of work our way around. Mike, what did you think of the Perdomo comments and I guess of this whole situation more broadly?
Well, yeah, since you started off with Geraldo Perdomo, I love when guys stick up for their guys. I'm totally about it, right? You know, it's a family kind of atmosphere when it comes down to sports teams, and really, truly, the only guys who know the ins and outs and the everyday struggles of being on a sports team are your fellow players. So it was cool to see Perdomo come to his back, I would say, I guess. But gentlemen, at this point, the whole entire situation specifically that sounds like it's been festering over a month in this clubhouse at this point was the situation of Ketel Marte really taking matters into his own hands and not even communicating his true situation of him going back to the Dominican Republic. It sounds like the Arizona Diamondbacks didn't even know that he was leaving after the All-Star break. Now, there's been a lot of speculation and a lot of conversations over the past, basically at this point, stretching over to 5 days, because I feel like this broke last week, but now people are coming out. We know that Ketel made his statements yesterday. And then Torey Lovullo said things like, he's backing him up. He's a great teammate. He's a great young man. He plays hard every single day for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He just wants to win baseball games. That's it. But I think one of the key things that you said, Chris, in regard to what Geraldo said was he just wants to play baseball. This is where you start to get me into a different set of standards, specifically in regards to somebody like Ketel Marte. We can have the conversations about what guys are truly worth, how much they get paid in sports, blah, 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 blah. When somebody has been around an organization for 9+ years, there are different expectations, guys. There are 100% different expectations. And what is those expectations I'm talking about? I'm talking about the leadership style. We had plenty of conversations about Kevin Durant didn't want to be that leader. He didn't want to be that type of guy. It's the same thing that Perdomo said. Kevin Durant just wanted to hoop. I get it. I mean, they all want to hoop. They all want to play ball. But there are different means that have to be met when you are the high-profile guy. I'm sorry. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And the way that Ketel Marte has handled his situation with his days off that are needed, with the way that they talk about he is kind of, he's not a scared person, but, Torey Lovell talked about his vulnerability and talking about a situation which he caused himself. Like, yeah, I mean, you got to stand up and make peace for a situation that has caused apparent turmoil in your own clubhouse because you feel that you need to be treated differently. I'm a lead by example type of guy. And the way that Ketel Marte has done things, specifically this season with his days off, especially not communicating his possible need for a vacation after an all-star break, where he probably should have just taken the all-star break off because he was dealing with a little bit of an injury at that point, to come back to a team that was in the hunt trying to fight for its playoff lives. And we talk about going back last year when he asked for that day off in the final week when the Arizona Diamondbacks were absolutely hanging on by a thread, right? It's just a cause for concern, and it's a weird look and avenue for a star player to go down right now, especially when you know that this Arizona Diamondbacks club is going to be in kind of a flux over obviously the rest of this season, but next season and beyond. We really don't know where this team is going to find themselves. A lot of that based off of the injuries with the pitching staff and whatnot. So you guys can probably tell I'm all over the place right now. This thing has kind of put me into a pickle. But I know we're going to have some more conversations about how we feel about if Ketel Marte should be the one on the chopping block. I know a lot more people have been talking about, well, it either has to be him or Torey Lovell. And it's just crazy that we've gotten to this point in a situation and season that had so much promise. This is where we have gotten to. It's kind of crazy.
That's, I think, the biggest thing is like where you look at the expectations from how last season ended going into the offseason, the moves that were made in the offseason, and then everything that's transpired since. It's really disheartening, and kind of like, it's more than disheartening. Like, clearly, I would say the fans are calling for a change to some capacity. To Mike's point, we will talk about, and I'm not just trying to tease it or whatever. We will talk about Torey Marte. Who can they both stay? Should one go? Who should it be? We could talk about that, and we will. But there are just a few things I want to circle back on. Like, Mike, I definitely would agree with you that I'm all about a guy sticking up for his teammate, and that does show leadership. And I do appreciate that from Marte, because I think that is a big thing that potentially is lacking with this Diamondbacks team, is true leadership and what that looks like. And is there? I think there is a difference between someone who's like a leader and then like a veteran leader. They can just kind of hit different. But as far as like the coddling and the special treatment of Marte, I think that's something that is kind of goes hand in hand in that, because the moves that the Diamondbacks make and which way they decide to go will kind of speak to the decision they make in that regard. Are they going to keep and continue to coddle Marte? Are they going to try and get him to change now? How long has this been going on? I mean, Ian, from your perspective, of course, this isn't like the first time we've heard about a player getting special treatment. It's actually pretty common in baseball. Like, there's obviously, I heard someone today talking about how Randy Johnson basically was in control of the entire clubhouse on his days. You couldn't tell him, he was in control of the radio. You couldn't talk to him. Like, he was very ritualistic. Like, but what do you think of a player like that getting special treatment? Is it okay as long as they're successful in their play? And is there like a fine line for that? At what point it becomes a nuisance for the team and they stop dealing with it?
Yeah, I think from a managerial perspective, it shouldn't ever be okay. Like, he should have communicated with that. I agree with what you're saying in the sense where, he's in the wrong for this. The part that I'm confused about, and maybe I'm missing something here, maybe you can fill me in. When Bob Nightingale tweeted this, he said, "The worst kept secret in the Arizona Diamondbacks organization is out. They will listen to offers on all-star second baseman Ketel Marte this winter, knowing that while he is extremely talented, he can be a diva in the clubhouse, agitating his teammates and coaching staff." So I'm not the closest person to the Arizona Diamondbacks by any means, but I am familiar with the team. I don't see anything that shows me that this dude is a diva. Yeah, he's definitely in the wrong. He should have said he was going to be out longer than he was. He should have worked something out with the management of this team, but to act like that's a reason to burn the bridge is insane to me. Like, I really don't get it. Like, and at the same time, I'm all over the place too, because I actually do think it is a good idea to trade Marte, because the return you're going to get is probably really good. Like, he's one of the, if not the best second baseman in the league. And you already started a rebuild, like a soft rebuild, because you're not giving up like Carroll and people like that, but you're getting rid of some of the relatively older guys, and he's one of the relatively older guys. Why leak that out and hurt the draft stock and be like, or hurt the trade stock and say something like, oh, he's a diva. He pisses off his coaches. He pisses off his teammates, when I don't see that as the case. I see, Perdomo sticking up for him. I see, maybe Lavillo is getting rubbed the wrong way, but like, who gives a fuck what he thinks, man? I don't know. Like, where am I at? Am I missing something here? Like,
no, I don't think so. And if I understand what you're saying, like, you're saying it's like, why is it coming out of the clubhouse? Like, why is that?
My thing is, I feel like it's a little bit of, I don't want to call it a mountain out of a molehill, because he did do this. Seems like something that should be a fine. It shouldn't be you're done on the Diamondbacks. If he's done on the Diamondbacks, it should be because of the return you're going to get for him. The rest of it just sounds like noise to me.
Yeah, unless, I mean, I get what you're saying, and I wouldn't expect the team to do this, but there is a world where they kind of leak something out there where, like you're saying, and I agree, it is relatively minor. It's more of an annoying thing than like an I can't live with this. Like, I've heard people being dramatic, saying like, oh, Ketel Marte is just like Bradley Beal, and like, we know VSP Tallman has not been a big fan of the way Ketel Marte is acting even before all of this happened. But to say he's like Bradley Beal, which I'm not saying VSP Tallman said he's like Bradley Beal, he didn't say that, but right. Bradley Beal was out like all the time. Like, Ketel misses like a handful of games at a season, but they're at inopportune times, and he just can't really seem to, I guess, read the room. And it, like, I don't know, it almost like with all these reports and like the way people are talking about it, like, have you guys both seen Ted Lasso?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it almost feels like maybe like they're describing Ketel Marte getting like Zava treatment, where he just has like this like fancy locker in the corner and like is just treated like the ground he walks on is holier than thou. But like, no, Ian, to your point, I agree with you as far as like, why is it leaking out of the clubhouse, and why is this coming out? If that is something the team's intending to do, is this coming from a player, a staff member that's talked to a player, a coach? We'll never know, very likely, but it's interesting because people have started to bring up the point with the way Ketel Marte's contract is structured. I guess I might be getting this phrase wrong, but I think they call it like a 10-5 guy, where after so much service at the MLB level and at a certain point, I don't know if it's specific to his contract or just like an MLB CBA thing, but essentially the short and narrow of it is his contract becomes where he has a no trade clause. And that's where I guess the Bradley Beal comparisons could start to become, having more validity if it's just in that. But leave the Bradley Beal thing alone. The reason you would look to maybe trade him is, like you said, do we want to? This guy's going to be 32 in a month or two. He's going to be in at theory, he's at the height of his career. It's only going to go down from here. Similar to what they did with Christian Walker, although Christian Walker a little bit older. Do you trade a guy at peak value, get all you can because you've already gotten the best years out of him? I think that's I'd be okay with them having those conversations. What about you?
Well, can I jump in on this? I think you kind of have to, because guys, let's just talk about Ketel Marte, the player. Ian said it perfectly. I think Ketel Marte is the best second baseman in baseball. I mean, it's hard to kind of look at it with where the numbers stand. Obviously, he was an all-star this year, and you talk about the time that he missed earlier from a hamstring injury. He's still this year hitting 297, 23 home runs, and 56 RBIs. We literally talk about him making franchise history, 2 series ago, where he hits back-to-back home runs in the bottom of in the top of the ninth to secure victories for this team. Even though we know this situation from the Arizona Diamondbacks, since they were sellers, they truly weren't in it. And obviously losing a series 3-1 to possibly one of the worst teams in baseball ever in the Colorado Rockies doesn't really help that situation. But yeah, it's becoming the situation with the inopportune time frames where he is asking for these days off, right? I already went back to last year when he asked for that day off. If you truly remember, it was coming off the back of having an 8-0 lead, I believe, against the Milwaukee Brewers, blowing that lead, losing that game, and then him asking for a day off when they're literally down to the final 5 or whatever it was at that point, where you have to have all of them and your best player needs a break. Like, it's go time at that time frame, right? It is absolutely go time. And then when you see your team is sputtering into an all-star break, but still truly has a chance, and you not communicate whatsoever that you're literally going out of the country, and your team pulls together, sweeps the series against the St. Louis Cardinals, and he comes back into the fold, and the team loses 9 out of the next 10 games, right? It's not just how great somebody is sometimes, it's how they fit, how those pieces connect in a clubhouse. And that's why this has become a story, because it can't just be one squeaky wheel. It can't just be, I'm just throwing out a name. It can't just be a Lourdes Gurriel Jr. who comes in and says, man, you know what? I wish I could take days off when we're trying to win a playoff series or trying to make the playoffs. Like, it had to come from multiple guys. And the collateral damage that has happened from this is obviously guys losing their jobs here in the Valley. And we know how much that Gino Suarez loved to be here, right? He talked about it frequently, right? A guy like Randall Grichuk, who was a small known commodity for a lot of people, started to make himself known as a pretty decent DH within his later time frame in the MLB here in his year and a half, right? And then we literally lose a semi-face of the Valley, if you can say, in Merrill Kelly, a true homegrown kid that grew up here, played high school baseball here, and had his star risen here, right? Those guys were collateral damage. You can't obviously put it all on Ketel Marte, but who knows what him coming back into the clubhouse about after missing those 3 games in St. Louis. How much did that fracture everything? And then obviously you find yourself having to be sellers because there truly isn't a chance for you this year. And now the future is really uncertain. So sometimes it's just more than what you truly bring from one place on the diamond. And Ian, I want to address what you said too, where it's like, I'm still in the camp. This is absolutely salvageable. It sounds like a lot of people are already they made their comments, they're moving on. It has been addressed. It's time to make adjustments and whatnot. But still at the same time, I think you'd be stupid to not look at what capital you can garner back from Ketel Marte. Because once again, gentlemen, what did I say? We're looking at 2027 for the Arizona Diamondbacks to be true contenders. And even with that being said, we don't even know if baseball is going to be around in 2027 with the collective bargaining agreement being up and a possible lockout coming sooner than we can imagine. So you got to start building for the future. I hope Ketel Marte is part of this future, but it's a weird way to move from being such a high-profile guy. You got to lead by example. I will continue to come back to that. This is just a weird story to be coming out with a month left in the season. I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
Yeah. And it's just like a really a sad way to end a sad season. I feel like there was a little spark of hope there post trade deadline, kind of bad. And then kind of good and then kind of bad again. And now it's just kind of like mediocre to bad. And it just feels like all the life has been sucked out of this team. And that's like, it's true. And it's the fans, and you can see it. I think it was, Sunday night or Monday night. No, probably not Sunday night. I think it was a day game. So Monday night, that stadium was like empty. There was like nobody there. And like, I know it's a Monday night, but still, like, this D-backs team has been putting butts in seats. But I just like to like round out this Marte, saga as from my perspective. And like, I do want, not really my perspective, I do want to pick Ian's brain one more time. Going back to the contract thing, Ian, Ketel Marte has a very tradable contract too, to your point. About 5 years left, and he'll make 15, 12, 20, 22, and then 22 million with a player option in 2031. So all the way until he's 20 or 37 years old. So moving him with that very tradable contract, so it's friendly for the team that gets him. I think you can get maximum prospects back for that. And I also think that we do have a lot of infielders in our system. So is there one of those guys that they have targeted for being ready to go and like actually helping day in and day out? Like Lawler could certainly play second base. I know Tommy Troy has been talked about. He's a guy that plays second. And then there's this, I know nothing about him. I'm literally just looking at the prospect rankings, but Demetrio Crisantes is an infielder and slated for 2027, but he's only in high A. But Ian, like I said, I do want to rope you in, and I'm sorry, I just keep chatting, but what kind of like, would you think the Diamondbacks would go after as prospect wise? Do you think it'd be one like high prospect or like a whole haul of prospects? And I guess more if you could share your thoughts more on like the whole situation in general with his contract.
Yeah, I don't think there's a wrong answer to that, really. Like you're like the Diamondbacks are in a spot where you kind of just get the best haul that you can, and what that looks like is, just kind of in the void until you start seeing names and rumors and stuff like that. It's one of those things where we only know what we're told by the media. We don't know what we're not told. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if some rumor or some report came out that the phone has already been picked up on Ketel Marte around the deadline and they just didn't find the best deal. So they're going to hold off until the winter. Lawler, I think, if I remember right, back a few weeks ago during the trade deadline, we were saying that he's going to be the guy that we slot in after we deal Suarez. So obviously, he can't play two positions at once. I think you might have to go for another infielder, whether or not that's a top guy or you get a slew of top guys. Or not a slew of top guys, but just a slew of good guys. That's to be decided. And I do think a strength of the Diamondbacks has been trading guys away that are somewhere between role players and Hall of pretty good guys for very good prospects. I remember when you traded Dalton Varsho for Gabby Moreno. Like, those are the kinds of moves that you seem to be excellent at. And I don't remember him being the only prospect that you got back either. Like, there was one or two more guys attached to that deal. So it's really just seeing what's out there. I would like to see more than one guy, not just the top guy, but whatever you can get back, just he goes to the highest bidder, in my opinion. And I think there will be very, very high bidders if he's moved in the winter.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that would be, and I think that's the move, is you can get a couple guys back for him. Obviously getting the money off the books also opens the door up. Of course, albeit not a ton of money on the grand scheme of things. It'd be nicer to get rid of like an Eduardo Rodriguez contract. But yeah, I hate that we have to have that conversation, but this is all to not even to say that I want them to trade him, because I really don't want them to trade Ketel Marte. I like what he's done for the team, and I think he can still be productive. But should the relationship sour to the point where they got to go in different directions, then yeah, go get what you can while you can. And then also, like we said, we were going to talk about, which has kind of been backburnered, the Torey Lovullo or Ketel Marte. Who should stay? Who should go? Should they both stay? Should they both go? And I don't I don't necessarily know where I stand. I think it fluctuates day to day. I have been kind of pro fire Torey Lovullo, but I'm also kind of warm to the idea of possibly bringing him back because, Ian, as you've pointed out, being a fan of the Yankees, the grass isn't always greener. Like the next general manager is not necessarily going to be the cure all. And it could mean a longer, rebuild because with like it or not, for better or worse, Torey Lovullo, Mike Hazen, Derek Hall, they've all worked together for a very long time, and they've established the kind of culture they want to have and the type of working relationship. Now, the question is that working? Now, there's arguments to be made both ways. Yeah, it worked 2 years ago. It got us to the World Series. Was that a fluke? We missed the playoffs entirely last year. We're going to do it again this year. Counterpoint, we won more games last year than we did the year before when we made the World Series. So make that math happen. There's a lot that happens within the league, but as it relates to, fire Torey or fire Ketel, I guess, Mike, I do want to ask you about this, but I want to start that conversation and kind of kick it off with asking you, do you think that with people like us talking about this and like the sports media and the local media and local pundits talking about it, do you give credence to the idea that we're chasing Ketel Marte out of town by being critical and having these conversations about should he be traded and his behavior?
Ooh, Chris, I like it. So I don't think it's unfair to be critical for a situation of somebody literally not communicating with their job. Like, just think of us as normal 9-to-5 people. Are you kidding me? If I didn't show up to my job and I told them that I went to Jamaica for the 3 days because I needed a break, you think I would be welcomed back with open arms? No, hell no. I'd be fired. Now, we're not asking for Ketel Marte to be fired. I think what we're asking for is to truly see the wrongdoing of his part within this situation. And it sounds like he has. That's great. But one of the other things that I think, you can go back to the age-old saying is sometimes it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. From what John Gambadoro has said is this is Ketel Marte. Like, this isn't nothing new. This is what he has done for his 9 years that he's been with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, whose fault is that, right? I don't think you could put the blame on Ketel Marte because if he's been following kind of his own voyage the same way year after year and the Diamondbacks have been okay with it, and then now it's just come to light and people are kind of concerned about it, you can't put the blame on Ketel Marte. So that's why I don't think we're saying, man, get out of town, get out of Dodge, because that's not the right way to go about this, right? The right way to go about this is, I'm going to keep going back to it, is harping on the leadership aspect about this. Is like, Ketel, better than that, man. Like, literally just think back to the previous 7.5 seasons. You must have been doing it the right way before then when you were asking for your time off, and now you have gotten a little bit lazy about it. Like, even just go back to how you were moving then. Like, there's a lot of people at fault here, gentlemen, right? You still have to put your hand up if you're Ketel Marte. You have to put your hand up if you're Torey Lovullo and if you're Mike Hazen. And from what it sounds like, right, this franchise went into, save face mode on Monday, where Mike Hazen is having multiple conversations with Torey Lovullo and Ketel, talking about, okay, hopefully, how do we address these kind of things moving forward? How do we put you in the right spot to be successful if you need those days off? Because everybody needs days off, right? We understand this. We totally know that. But I don't think it's unfair to ask Ketel Marte to come in front of the media, especially when these reports have come out and people have made statements already, and tell his side of the story. That's what being a professional athlete is about. That's what's part of the contract. And I'm proud of him for coming out and, making his statements, be it that him kind of going back and saying, well, this has been a plan. Like, I've been hurt, so my days off has been planned. So he's kind of hiding behind the veil to a certain extent. But yeah, this is, you can't be upset if you're an Arizona sports fan for asking these type of questions from the guy that's supposed to truly lead you to the promised land at this moment, right? We're hopeful that Corbin Carroll can be that guy in the future, but for right now, it is Ketel Marte. Ketel Marte is the top 5 Arizona Diamondback of all time. There are expectations.
That's a great point, Mike, that you brought up. Like what was, and that's kind of what I had alluded to earlier is what was he doing the last 7 years where it was working out just fine, and now all of a sudden he's having issues, or has he been receiving special treatment and it was excused, or nobody cared because the team wasn't very successful until recently? And like, because I mean, I don't know. I think most people were under the impression that Ketel Marte was at the All-Star game. Then his house got broken into. Then he decided to go to the Dominican Republic because he didn't feel safe at home. That was kind of like my thing was but now I don't know if it came out then or if it's just coming out now, but it's like, oh no, now we find out immediately after the game, he's on his jet to the Dominican Republic. He actually had no intention of going back home. And coincidentally, his house happened to get robbed. So it's like, I don't know, man. Like, it's funny that because it's like, it's unpaid leave. Like, so he didn't go through the proper channels. And that's, I think, the thing to highlight. So the team didn't come out and like announce this or anything. This is just leaks coming in. But Mike, I had to make a phone call because if I do all the ranting here, people are going to get tired of hearing my voice. So for hot take purposes, I give you Niko. It's Neeks. Welcome to the stream, brother. How are you doing?
What is up, guys? What is up? Sounds like I'm coming in on the back end of this Ketel Marte stuff here. Man, are we really trusting this source? Everything I've read says that this clown is a clown and has been a clown for a long time. This is probably just me wanting to think that everything is good and that there are no problems inside of that dugout, that we know there are so many problems. But like in my brain, Ketel's not far from, like, I know there's not any statues outside of Chase, but like when you talk about guys that deserve a statue, like you're talking Randy, you're talking Larry, you're talking Gonzo, you're talking, Ketel has been the face of this team for what, 7 or 8 years now. I don't know. I think it's interesting that Perdomo has to be the one to step up and say something. That Torrey isn't necessarily having his players back. Whether the situation is true or not, what I'd like to see is Torrey, with a blind ignorance, have the back of his player. The fact that it's Perdomo coming out and having to say things like, can we stop this bullshit? Like, and then Torrey's looking at him like a deer in the fucking headlights. Like, I don't know, man. This whole thing is very interesting to watch play out. Also, like, for what? For what? Like, this doesn't change anything. This doesn't change that our bullpen is shit. This doesn't change that we can't manufacture runs with, before the trades, a top 5 offense in baseball. Like, this doesn't change anything. And we managed to operate, whether we were giving him special privileges or people were looking past things, we managed to operate like, I don't know, man. I guess there's, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But at this point, it's broke. So now all the water is going to leak, like we're going to start to hear all sorts of shit. So it should be interesting. I hope we're not shopping him in the winter. I hope that that's not true. But we'll see.
Yeah, and we did talk about like a lot of that conversation, Niko, with like him being traded. Should you trade him? Should you consider it, being open to it? But I like that perspective that you bring, and I think Ian had even kind of alluded to it about the validity of the source and how much it even matters, why it's being given so much attention, but also your point about it kind of starting to unravel at the seams. We literally just saw that with the Phoenix Suns, and the writing was on the wall for a lot longer with that team, going all the way back to the season prior. But, hearing reports of fist fights in the locker room, which I don't know if I necessarily believe. I don't think anyone was passionate enough about the season to get in a fight about it. It seemed like a team that didn't really care. And I honestly, there were signs of that from the beginning with this Diamondbacks team as well, of just laziness, kind of walking through, not in the same way as the Suns, but just the overall indifference and the not correcting a lot of the mistakes. The third base coach should have been fired already. Probably he will not be back with the team next season. He cannot manage the third base to save his life. Torey Lovullo aside, not making changes when they need to happen, bringing up Jordan Lawler and saying this is going to be the last time, but then it not being the case. And I even said, I was very vocal. I was like, a lot of people are going to dismiss losses early in the season and say it's no big deal. And it's really early. Don't even worry. It's stupid to panic about games in May and April and June. But now we're here in August and our season is over and we still have to watch a month and a half of Diamondbacks baseball. But Ian, as far as this, going back to that little just conversation about the source, and because I know you had some thoughts on this, as far as where would you expect that to come from? Do you think it's someone who's still currently in the locker room, or one of these guys that got traded at the deadline, like a Grichuk or a Naylor or a Kelly, is now coming out and being like, yeah, shit was a disaster? Or even you could say guys that were here last year, Christian Walker, Jock Peterson, those kind of guys. And do you think we're going to start to hear more shit about after Zach Gallen was the third worst pitcher by ERA this season, the team really turned on him? Or, what would you expect? I know that's 5 questions in one, but just lay your thoughts out there.
Yeah, that's actually kind of hard to answer because my brain tells me that Bob Nightingale is an Arizona guy. He came through the Arizona Republic. I think he went to ASU and now he writes for USA Today. So he's a national reporter. He has chops here. So, this probably does have some meat to it. My heart tells me that there are actions and there are words, and actions speak louder than words. Nightingale's words are one thing. The actions that I've seen from Marte and Perdomo say the exact opposite of that. So I don't understand. There's a misread there from somebody. I don't know who. It could be me. But where am I going with this? Basically, I don't if we do see more reports of this from other reporters, from someone like Merrill Kelly, who's going to say, yeah, that locker room's fucked up. Of course, I'll eat my words and I'll know that I was wrong. But where I'm at now is basically that I do think phone calls were probably made around Marte or at the deadline because, he's a guy who's around 30. They're trying to rebuild and just kind of throwing the white flag with this season. So it would make sense. And he, didn't show up post All-Star break. So I think there's a conflation there of maybe a phone call was made because of this thing. And it's not two different stories. That's kind of where my head is at. If I was a GM, I would be shopping Marte just because he is the best second baseman in baseball and you're trying to reload. That's really it. I think that Marte, the worst thing that should happen to him in a situation where he's, didn't report to the team is a fine, maybe a 1-game suspension. But if you're really trying to stay competitive in that week span, you don't fucking do that. So that's where I'm at. Is basically, I think two things are being conflated here by Nightingale to make that story into something that it isn't.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think regardless of where it comes from, that information, it seems not, I don't know, just the whole thing. I don't blame Nightingale for reporting it. If he thinks he's got a good story, obviously it's got people talking about it. It's going to sell clicks or whatever. And he's doing his job. But I don't know. I feel like there's a certain level of like a brotherhood within these clubhouses. So I don't think it's a guy that's currently on the team. But even still, once you're off a team, like I just don't know. So it's like, again, to your guys' point, like where obviously you don't reveal your source, you got to trust the source. But I think this should just blow over, and it's just only being, you could say blown out of proportion, but I think it's only become such a big story because the team is doing poorly, and you could even potentially say that Ketel Marte is being scapegoated in some ways. But fellas, I know we had a couple more things we want to get to. And we're about 45 minutes in. But Mike, Niko, I did want to give you each a chance to share any last thoughts you had on the Ketel Marte drama. So, Mike, I'll kick it over to you first.
Yeah, I think it was only right that we weighed our 2 cents if anybody truly cares. But at the end of the day, it sounds like this situation is over. Everybody has said their piece. Torey Lovullo, Ketel Marte have come out. I am 100% in the camp of you really shouldn't trade Ketel Marte, guys. I mean, if you have considerably one of the best players at a position in baseball, what does it look like for your franchise to be trading them unless it's waving the white flag saying that you're not ready to compete or contend for the next couple of years? And from going just 2 seasons ago in the World Series on an improbable run to waving that white flag, I truly think is unacceptable. And I think the franchise feels that right now as well. There's better ways to maneuver if you're Ketel Marte. It seems like he understands that. He's growing from that as well. But the leadership in Torey Lovullo and Mike Hazen have to grow as well too, because this has come to light. Doesn't matter about the sources. It is a situation that happened. We know that he didn't tell the team that he was gone. It just cannot happen in the future. So everybody grows from this and we move on. Let's do it. Move on. We're good.
Yeah, kind of piggyback off what Mike is saying. I mean, it seems like we all learned. Everybody figured it out. My biggest complaint, and I think my biggest takeaway, will be that picture of Torey Lovullo staring at Perdomo as though he has seen a fucking ghost because his player is standing up for his teammate as opposed to the manager standing up for his player. That tells me all I need to know about Torey Lovullo. It tells me all I need to know about who I want at the end of our bench making the fucking calls. It's not him. That shit will piss me off. That's my biggest takeaway, is that Torey Lovullo is not my manager after the way that this whole thing has been handled. Ketel, like Mike said, got to operate in a different manner. I think there's something to be said about, kind of coming up and then exploding in Arizona and becoming a superstar, maybe not knowing how to handle that and maybe not being surrounded by the right pieces to help you handle that correctly. But man, it kind of just is an ucky taste to see Torey Lovullo kind of passing the buck. That's the opposite of what you're supposed to do. So hopefully we figured it out. It all seems like bullshit. If you want me to be real, it seems like Bob Nightingale trying to fucking stoke a flame that isn't fucking ignited. So I don't think these guys are fist fighting in the locker room. I don't think we're going to hear much more after this.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't seem like a team that's at each other's throats by any means. But yeah, Niko, there's not much that you said there that I don't disagree with, I think is what I'm trying to say. I agree with you, Niko. Yeah, I do think this will be the last we hear about it. I guess we never really actually truly weighed in on like the Torey versus Ketel thing, but you kind of did there. But I will agree with you. I think I'm done with Torey Lovullo, guys. Like, honestly, it's been a fun ride, but he's not good on the mic. Like, and that's the thing. Like, he might be a good communicator with the locker room when he's not in front of a camera. But I feel like you should be able, if you can communicate to the media, you can communicate to your team, and it's kind of like showing good faith. And clearly there's a message that's not resonating with the team for them to perform so poorly 2 years in a row. When you come out after every single loss and say, we played a really good baseball team, and then you get to a point in the season where you're playing literally one of the worst teams in the history of Major League Baseball, and you say we played a really good baseball team, you're full of shit, and everything you've ever said immediately becomes invalid. Like, I'm sorry, but thank you, Niko, for sparking that memory in my brain. But fellas, let's move on and talk about another team in the Valley that's just doing so great, and we're very optimistic about. Have no qualms with whatsoever. Your Phoenix Suns, ladies and gentlemen. Devin Booker, Jalen Green. Come on, Malawach.
You forgot the team already.
Ryan Dunn. You know him. You love him.
They're that high profile.
And
all
many
those guys.
others.
Who could forget him? Oh, what's his name? No, who knows? Like, I guess there's the way the roster looks on August 19th. And then I think there's going to be a way that the roster looks on October 22nd when we're at home against Sacramento. But Mike, I mentioned the schedule earlier that did get released last Thursday for all 32 NBA teams. And your Phoenix Suns will start the season playing the Los Angeles Clippers 3 times in 3 weeks.
Oh, God. You got to love it. I also love the back-to-backs against same teams. I don't understand how this continues to happen. I know it's about travel schedules, whatnot, but all right, gentlemen, high level. We have 16 back-to-backs next year. It is a part of the NBA season. And in 7 of those, the Suns are hopping different time zones. And I think the big one that a lot of us were wondering after getting 19 primetime games last year, only 9, right? And it's going to be either on ESPN, ABC, or Peacock. The NBA is going to look so much different this year. I'm kind of excited, to be honest with you, in regard to that. But with that being said, in regard to television, they're not going to appear on any of the Friday Amazon Prime games. So, are we surprised? We are not. But I'd be remiss if I didn't shout this one out. Brandon Duenas over at Bright Side of the Sun made a must-5 watch games list for next season, and I want to get your thoughts on these. Number 1, obviously, he's listing that first matchup at home against the Los Angeles Clippers in Bradley Beal's return. Number 2, you guessed it, it's our first matchup in Houston against Kevin Durant and the Houston Rockets. The number 3, they're saying it's a true test because it is early in the season on November 28th at Oklahoma City against the defending champion Thunder. And then the last 2 make sense for me. December 23rd, DeAndre Ayton's return for the first time in a Los Angeles Lakers uniform. And February 10th, the number 1 overall pick, Cooper Flag, and the Dallas Mavericks are coming to Phoenix. We're in a slow part of the season in regard to NBA basketball. We understand that. Before we even started the stream, Ian was saying how he wished basketball was here already. And I told him, hold the brakes. NFL season has to start first. But it's still awesome to see what you have to look forward to in the next season. And we know our expectations are going to flounder around the Phoenix Suns. But, man, this is a new look era. This is a new day. And it's awesome to see what we have to look forward to. So I'm pumped, man. But I'll throw it over to anybody. Out of what you guys are seeing, what's that like first matchup that you're circling on the calendar?
I'll hop in here, Mike. Honestly, DeAndre Ayton in a Lakers uniform will be a fun game to be at, just for the pure absolute shit you're going to be able to give him. I honestly am looking forward to the Cooper Flag appearance. There's something to be said about number 1 overall picks. There's always a curiosity. I think this dude can ball. So I think it'll be very interesting to watch that Dallas Mavericks team this year with, I don't know, Kyrie's still coming back from injury, but like, I think that's still going to be a scary squad, especially if he can get his feet underneath him. Kevin Durant's return, not so much. It would be a different story if, maybe the time was a little bit better spent here, or maybe if he didn't fucking spit in our faces as he walked out the door. Maybe I'd give a damn, Kevin, but I don't. I don't give a fuck about your game. I'd rather go see the Clippers before you fucking scumbucket. So, yeah, that's where I sit on this. I think I'd rather not see Bradley Beal or Kevin Durant for probably a calendar year. I think everybody would agree it's probably a smart move.
I want to see Bradley Beal. Niko, that is one that I have circled. Tuesday, November 6th, the return of Bradley Beal. Mike, I think you've talked about it, us going to that game, giving him the Dwight Howard treatment.
Oh my Lord, the Dwight Howard treatment. You want to go back in time and pull out a Dwight Howard treatment on Bradley Beal? If there's anybody who deserves it, you know it is that man. So Chris, once I get my half season ticket schedule, I'll take a look and see if we have to buy extra tickets for that game or not. So, but I'll pencil you in for sure.
Beautiful. I love it. So aside from that, just early in the season, I guess somewhat early in the first half for sure, Mike, we talk about this on Past the Outlet, and we're going to, I'm sure, talk about more aspects of this schedule in depth potentially one day. But what I look forward to most is December 9th to the 16th. What do we see here? The Emirates NBA Cup, ladies and gentlemen, the most intriguing thing in sports. Oh my fucking God. If there is one thing I love, it's Adam Silver. And I love Adam Silver as much as he loves tournaments. And boy, oh boy, is this Emirates. No, I hate the in-season tournament. It is the dumbest idea. And it's not even a mid-season tournament because it's at the beginning of the season. If anything, this should be done as part of like around the All-Star break in like February or late January. Like, I don't know. There's just, if you want to do this, which I don't think you should, there are better ways to do it. I like the cool courts, but then it's funny. You have the cool courts for the cup, but you don't have special courts for the playoffs or the finals. Like, I get that, like, maybe it takes some time to get these courts made up, but you're telling me there's not a way with all the money in this league? I'm sure there is. But yeah, the NBA Cup is a joke. It's just regular season games. It's just regular season games. And quick, Ian, tell me who won it last year.
Fuck, I don't know. Lakers? Maybe? Why do I feel like it's always the Lakers?
Lakers won the first one.
That's why it was good. If you were going to win any of them, should have won the first one. And at least the Suns were in it, but they lost to the eventual champions, which was the Lakers. I think I know this. It was the Milwaukee Bucks, right?
It was. And what was most ironic is they beat
the Indiana Pacers. Yeah.
Yep. Are you sure? I thought they beat the Thunder.
No, because I think it's still a Western Conference versus Eastern Conference matchup.
No, they beat the Thunder.
Oh, no shot, really?
Yeah.
Did the Thunder play the Pacers in the matchup before then? Would be my
that would make
East and West.
Or did the Lakers beat the Pacers the first year? That might have been it.
Oh, maybe that was it.
That could be.
Okay.
Something. But yeah, I thought. Oh wait. Here's the bracket. Should I pull this up? No, it's not.
No, don't pull it up. You hate it too much.
Yeah, Milwaukee beat Atlanta. So you guys were probably thinking about the year before. Yeah, the Pacers weren't even in the bracket.
Oh. Yeah,
Atlanta. That's how you know that fucking cup is bullshit, man.
Well, that's what
Atlanta
I'm saying.
The Mickey Mouse fucking horseshit this is.
Yeah, Pacers were in the lost to the Lakers in the first one ever.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what it was. Yep. But anyway, so Ian, obviously you couldn't name the Milwaukee Bucks. Do you, I don't know. What is your opinion? Are you indifferent? Do you like it? Do you hate it like I do?
To me, it's like there's gonna be a couple games in December where the court hurts my eyes, and that's pretty much it. That's like that's the whole NBA Cup to me. I was just looking at, because now I felt a little egg on my face after not knowing it was the Bucks that won last year, and I got sad thinking that might be the closest that Damian Lillard gets to a championship.
Oh,
and
whoa! He has returned. Hold on, the prodigal son has returned to the City of Roses. There's a championship on its way. Just you wait. Just you wait. It's going to be him and fucking
gonna snatch the crown.
Him and the corpse of Jeremy Grant are going to somehow fucking pull it together.
Him and old Scoot Henderson.
Oh man,
just a lot of guards. Just all the guards.
No, yeah,
all 17.
They do have a lot of guards.
Because it's Drew Holiday as well, right? They just got him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Drew Holiday, who doesn't want to be there. And so now Portland is putting him all over their social media, talking to the fans, being like, hey, what's up, guys? Drew Holiday. Happy to be here. Can't wait to get to work. We know better, bro. You don't want to be here. You don't want to be here. Now you're going to sit behind Damian Lillard, who signed a $40 million contract.
They're like, hey, just ball out this year where we're not even going to try, and we're actually just kind of tanking a little bit. Have fun.
Honestly, when I get down about being a Suns fan, man, I think about where I was in Portland and where the Trailblazers were and where they are now. And I go, it's not that bad. It's not that things could be worse. Things could be worse. You could have a top 75 NBA player of all time and absolutely burn it to the ground a year after making the Western Conference Finals because Mo Harkless was your answer and because Kent Bazemore was your answer. I mean, it is reeking of the Suns right now, though, so it should be very interesting to see the correlation between the downfall of the Suns and the downfall of the Trailblazers.
Oh man, are you talking about those teams that had like Al-Farouq Aminu?
Dude,
is that going too
Rook
far
was
back?
a dog. No, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
And like
Al-Farouq Aminu.
Brandon Roy, even.
I got a name for you.
Brandon Roy's a little bit far.
Roy was early. He was
How
earlier
about-
than Dame.
How about Alan Crabb?
Oh, dude, I met Alan Crabb at Washington Square Mall. That was my dog. I had an Alan Crabb and a Kent Bazemore jersey. Bro, those are the two guys that I put on for.
You are a true fan if you're pulling out a Kent Bazemore jersey, man.
Dude, I tried to get him to sign it, and he DM'd me on Instagram. Was like, I'll sign it for you, man, and told me to wait by the tunnel, and I waited, and he saw it, and he didn't fucking sign it.
Oh, what an ass!
Yeah,
he probably read it again later, like, man.
No, he did not read that again later.
There's all these little kids, bro, and I'm fucking like 28 and half drunk. I'm like, my jersey isn't as important as those kids getting whatever they need to get. So we just play it cool. But yeah, he looked up at it and I saw it and I was like, how many Bazemore jerseys are you seeing out here, bud? I had to stop dead in my tracks.
Okay, I know we're kind of all over the place with the NBA, but I have a prediction I want to get your guys' thoughts on. And it's not a team prediction, it's a player prediction. Devin Booker has made 4 All-Star appearances in his career. The hope is that he absolutely takes over everything this year, right? No more Kevin Durant, no more Bradley Beal, nobody really, breathing down his neck. I wouldn't even consider Jalen Green to be that type of guy, even though he's going to have to be a large contributor. My prediction, and I want to see if you guys are aligned with this, Brian Gregory style, is that Devin Booker makes the All-Star team this year, no matter what our record is, because we know that will factor into a lot of these decisions, right? Like if your team sucks, you normally don't have a chance. We're hopeful that the Suns are a 500 ball club this year. So if they're just pandering right around that come the All-Star break in when is the All-Star break? January, February, whatever. But I think his numbers are going to be so astronomical, hopefully, put in quotations, that he's going to have to be an All-Star. And I'm not saying a starter because he never gets picked, even when he's one of the high-profile guys during their run. Is there a chance, you think? Ian, you think?
Yeah, my question was going to be, does it matter how he makes the All-Star team? Because him being a starter, I think, is a bit of a far cry.
That ain't happening.
He's in a spot all the time where he's not going to take votes away from Luka. He's not going to take votes away from Steph. So he'll make the All-Star team. I'm sure he'll be a reserve, but he'll be there. I'm confident in that, honestly. He's had down years the last 2 years, maybe, but I mean, not down enough to not be All-Star caliber. So he'll bounce back. I definitely see it.
I'm gonna take what you said, Mike. I'm gonna put a couple inches on it. I'm gonna say Devin Booker makes an All-Star team every year of his career until his downfall, until he starts to fall off. I think we're at the point where he's got enough household notoriety to his name, and I'm being with a Kardashian at one point always helps your marketability. So I think at this point, man, I think Devin Booker's a shoe-in to at least like 4 more All-Star teams. Not in the starting capacity. I think that's pretty much set in stone in the West, man. This is the hardest fucking thing to break into as a guard, to get onto a Western All-Star team. So, but yeah, I agree with you, Mike. I think this year, and I think next year, I think the year after, I think the year after that, and I think maybe there's a 5th one somewhere lingering. But I really think that with the maturing that Devin's gotten to do, like, take those training wheels off now, and we're gonna let it rip.
Yeah, I am not as confident as you guys are, and it's not a Devin Booker thing. It's not. It's a roster construction thing. Jalen Green is going to want the ball a lot, and the love is going to have to go around, and you're going to have to feed the bigs. And we saw Devin Booker take a step back with having to play alongside Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal specifically, but even with just him and Kevin Durant, his numbers were still not what they were. Guys, I don't know. Like, I don't mean to start a separate conversation, but I do eventually with you guys want to have the conversation of Jalen Green being on this team. We have not even seen him play basketball yet. I think if the team wants to keep him, I'm going to have to give him a chance personally, but I'm not excited for it at any capacity. I don't think him and Devin Booker are going to play well together. And I think if they do roll that out, it's going to be a rough start. Him making the All-Star game, I like where Ian was going with that. Like Ian or Niko added to Mike, I'll add to Ian a little bit here. What if he makes the All-Star game not even as a reserve, but as a substitute reserve because somebody's injured? Does that still count?
That counts. That's happened to him before, hasn't it?
Yeah, like
it has.
Multiple times, hasn't it?
A couple times,
They count that as like an All-Star appearance, though, right? Like in his, like if you were to break down his statistics.
I thought just the 1 year when he took Dame's spot, right? And then when Dame came out, he was basically like, he's my favorite player. I don't think there's anybody else who's more deserving of it. Yeah, Chris, I mean, we're going to have lots of conversations in regard to Jalen Green as the season gets closer. It's going to be an interesting one. But here's my other question. Will Devin Booker make an All-Star team before the book 2 is released? Because I don't know, man. They keep
that shit's coming out in 40 years, bro.
Good Lord. We're already on the Jaw 3. Like, when is the next one coming? If it is, I wonder how these things behind me have been selling, man, because the way that they're slow rolling it, I wonder if it's just they're trying to see if Devin Booker is truly an athlete they can still back behind, or if they're going to try and bring in somebody new for a signature line, because Nike has a cap. And we see, there's some guys that only get a certain amount of models. Devin Booker took over for Paul George. The day will come where somebody is going to take over for Devin Booker, but it depends on sales. But I do know that these shoes were, I want to say at one point in the NBA playoffs, I think by the Western Conference, were the number 1 worn shoes by players still in the playoffs. So it's getting around, but at this point, Devin might make the All-Star team before the next one comes out, man.
Well, it's interesting because they are selling really well, and you see them all over the WNBA, see them all over the NBA. People are wearing his shoes. I see him at the baseball park, man. Like people like baseball players are wearing his shoes to like hit batting practice in. It's very interesting. So Nike, I think at the end of the day, they've had such a good success with the book 1 that they're going to just keep rolling out different colorways of it for a little bit, and then we're going to get the book 2. I know we're not close to the book 2 because every concept I see of the book 2 is fucking vastly different from the other one. There's like no consistency. There's no uniformity. So I know we're not close. So I have to assume we're going to get another collab. It's going to be like Booker and fucking Savage Cologne. They're going to make a book 1, and they're going to milk that cattle until it's dry, I think, for sure. But it is a wild thought that we are on Jaw 3s and we haven't even sniffed a book 2. And I don't know, man. I know that the Jaws are popular, but I think that the books are like worn more in the league right now. So hopefully, but at this rate, no, dude, he's not going to make the book twos are going to come out in fucking in October of 2028 at this point.
Well, whenever it comes out, I'll be there with my cash in hand, ready to buy it. I don't know, guys. The book ones, it's making me a little nervous, Mike, how they're all on clearance. And like you said, they've been milking the colorways, but it is, to your point, a good sign to see other NBA players endorsing it. But fellas, I think there's going to be plenty to talk about with the Suns, a lot with the Cardinals coming up very soon. The Diamondbacks, man, we'll talk about it, but it's just the season's over, guys. Pack it up. It's done. They managed to tie the game tonight, though. I think last I checked, it was 4-4. I don't know if that's still the case. So guys, there's going to be some times where we win 3 or 4 in a row, and we're like, ooh, this D-backs team, and then they're going to lose 4 or 5 in a row. And I think in a couple weeks, it's going to be past the point of no return, where it's like, we're not statistically out of it yet, but we're damn close. And within a couple weeks, it'll be done and that door will be closed. But all that to say is going to be plenty of conversations left to have in the future. And I really want to thank you guys for hopping on here. But like we did with our last segment, I want to give you guys the floor one last time to speak your mind, anything you got on your chest, and say goodbye. So Ian, as our esteemed guest and contributor, we'll give you the floor first. What you got, man?
I'm tired, boss. I want a new season of one of the other sports I watch. That's about it. I don't know. Thanks for having me on.
Always a pleasure, Ian. Niko, glad you made it on, brother. What you got?
Shout out the Milwaukee Brewers. Best team in baseball by far right now. They have had the same kind of situation the Diamondbacks have had, although the way they managed it seems to be a little bit better. Shit, man. That is the one exciting thing. Then that's why I'm going to shout it out, is because like baseball this year has been very much so one of those plummeting roller coasters. You know, there's been no loops. It feels like we climbed, and then we just hit a drop, and now we're just dropping. So to be able to have a somewhat vested interest in the Brewers and watching them do their thing, it's pretty cool. And also, guys, if the Brewers get a ring, your boy comes home with jewelry. So we're pushing for the Brewers in the playoffs this year. So shout out.
For you, Niko, I might be able to muster that with and they're still Brewers or NL, so I can still root for the Mariners as well in the AL. My boy Josh Naylor and Geno Suarez.
That's who I'll be rooting for.
I do like the Mariners. I like the Mariners. I like the Mariners. I like Big Dumper, Cal Raleigh. Is it the Big Dumper, Mr. Dumper?
Why did it sound like it hurt when you said it, Chris?
Call him Mr. Dumper.
Big Dumper.
Mr. Dumper is his father.
God damn it. All right, Mike, take us home.
Oh man, Niko, I can channel my inner fandom to Milwaukee, Wisconsin for one baseball season so you can get that jewelry. No problem about it. You guys are right, though. We're still going to be paying attention to everything Valley. We're going to be paying attention to, I won't say dumpster fire, what's finishing out with the Arizona Diamondbacks. They've been playing better. But like we said, we just lost a series to possibly top 5 worst baseball team of all time. So let's get this win against Cleveland. But Niko and I will be in attendance on September 5th against the Boston Red Sox. I will say that's my other true team because my blood is in that. So we can watch Flo Rida do a post-game concert, baby. Yes, sir. Let's go. The Valley keeps rocking. Ian, Niko, appreciate you guys. Chris, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Love it, Mike. Staying active at the events, boots on the ground, getting the perspective. I love it. I know I'm doom and gloom, but guys, I'm probably going to try and make it out to a couple more D-backs games this season. Niko and I have a standing date to go and watch a baseball game, so I got to take him up on that, schedule permitting, of course. But fellas, we're going to keep bringing you here at Valley Sports Plug all the best sports content and opinions that we can. A lot of opinions, strong opinions. Leave a comment on the video. Let us know what you think. If you agree with us, if you disagree with us, if you like this stream, if you didn't, what we could do better. If you've made it this far, you're a real one, and we really appreciate you. Want to hear from you. I'm sure you're already subscribed here on our YouTube channel, but if not, go ahead and do so now. Follow us at AZ_VSP on Instagram, X, TikTok, and everywhere. Just look at our link in the description below, and it will take you where you need to go. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Mr. Benjamin, Niko, Ian, thank you guys. We'll see you next time. I'm Chris Patrick, and see you later. Peace.